if I were a brand new employee at Gore, I come right in, let's say I've had experience in Fortune 500 companies and I come in, what's so different about Gore? What would I start picking up as being just very unique, distinct, different than?
It truly is a peer-based organization. We work collectively together. It's not the leader and everyone else. So everyone understands their job is to make everyone else successful. It's not just about their own personal success. So that really fundamental investment of time to build the relationships, get to know what each of us are capable of providing, is a critical shift in your thinking in terms of you come in, you work, and then you go home. So people are much more vested in terms of owning both their own outcome and feeling responsible, but also feeling part of the whole in terms of I can really make a difference here, and I truly care about the success of the organization.
What about, I mean, I've heard a term used, on-demand hierarchy. What do you mean by that?
So I think the misnomer is we don't have people in responsible roles, and right. Certainly we have structure. Sometimes I get accused that we have too much structure, which is always healthy. I think the difference is if there's a formal hierarchy that's fixed, it always assumes that the person at the top of the hierarchy is the most knowledgeable and that they're really going to direct the rest of the organization. But if you think about how decisions are made, it shifts based on who really has the knowledge, who really has the vantage point that truly is the best person to drive a decision. So what we'd like to create is an environment where that shift of who's taking the lead, who's driving the decision is not a fixed structure, but it very much is situational. And so that kind of hierarchy on demand, that concept comes from we really want it to occur naturally based on where the knowledge is, which really allows a lot more of your population to contribute to decision making. And I think that's the beauty of it. Whereas a fixed hierarchy, unfortunately, all the decisions kind of go up the ladder, they come down the ladder, and it really doesn't necessarily get the best of the organization.
Yeah. Also, talk to us about ladder versus lattice organization. And you guys would be a lattice organization.
Exactly. The lattice concept was that really we're all connected by a series of nodes, which the analogy is actually around some of the structures of our materials that are very important to us. But the idea is we all want to connect with each other. So rather than there may be only 2 contact points that I have with my leader or superior, what you really want to encourage is that everyone is connecting with everyone in their network. And we want people to go right to the source, directly to who they need to get to get information or to get things moving.
But if you're letting them run with their passion and what they want to do, how does this not turn into just herding cats? How do you get alignment?
It's never going to be all in a nice, neat, structured package. What we try to do, though, is to really make sure everyone's operating with kind of common foundation of values and beliefs. And so when you join Gore, the assumption is you buy into the things that we think are fundamentally important. You know, that belief in individual, that commitment to help each other be successful, kind of the approach we take in our philosophy to taking a long-term view. So you have to establish a common foundation and values. I think that leadership...
What are those? What are those common values
so
that employees...
for us, certainly, again, one is the belief in individual, that we really respect and believe everyone can make a significant contribution. If you give associates the knowledge and the tools, they will just flourish. And so that's certainly one. The second is the power of small teams, that as we get larger, we want to still keep and continue to have associates that really feel part and connected with their team to make a difference. The other one is that we're all in the same boat. The Gores loved analogies with ships. And so the concept here is that it's, you know, even though small teams can do a lot, but we do much more as a ship. The entire enterprise benefits when we're all successful. So we really try to align all of our practices that truly reinforce that our success ultimately is you know, with us collectively together. And the last one is that we really want to take a long-term view. A lot of businesses, as you can imagine, are under a ton of pressure to deliver short-term results. And so we've always felt that our success is not financially driven alone. That's certainly one piece to keep the enterprise healthy, but how healthy is the work environment? Are we really reaching out in the communities, and are we building our reputation? You know, are we driving innovation? So those are the things that we try to reinforce in our practices, and that's really what we try to instill in our associates.
Okay. So one other part of our pride chart is the recognition we've had as a great place to work. And it started in the U.S. I think we've been on the list since, I guess, they started counting. But I think what makes me more proud is that it's not just a U.S. phenomena, that we really have been able to expand that track record around the world. And so just this year, we were recognized in Greater China, which we now have critical mass to really grow that region. And I think it really speaks to the commitment of our associates to really make sure that the values and the culture are working within that local environment. So this, again, is something we're very, very proud of, and a great source of pride for our associates. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about our unique culture. And as I said, this is not a new phenomenon for Gore. This is something that we've been shaping for over 55 years. And we are very much a relationship-based organization. Trust is really important. Teamwork is incredibly important. And so again, the philosophy here is, how do we create a networked environment that's not based on a hierarchy, but associates go to the folks that they need to get the knowledge and the decisions and actions. And so we're a networked organization. Very relationship-based. We try to minimize bureaucracy. Every so often it creeps in, and I hear about it from our associates. And a concept I will talk about is the idea that our leaders are only leaders if they get followership. And so we'll talk about that as a really important underpinning as we think about our values and reward system. So this is a busy chart, but if you went to one of our Gore sites, you would find this poster in probably every office and conference room. And I think the main thing I want to stress here is this is a living document. This is not something that's just plastered on the wall. Our associates use this as they think about their decisions, as they understand what actions they're going to take. This becomes kind of that one thing you look at to make sure, is it really aligned with our cultural values as a company? And we've continued to tweak the way we talk about our culture through different visuals. The biggest change actually that happened within the last couple years was actually recognizing that, you know, some folks can lose the plot, that the culture still has to be there to do something, right? It has to serve a purpose. It's not just about creating a great work environment. It's also there to make sure we're delivering. And one idea is that we have some really core disciplines. If you create an empowered organization, you've got to have some pretty clear disciplines and rules of engagement that everyone has kind of signed up for. So we actually were more explicit about that as we looked at the new culture poster of, let's call out the disciplines that we're really pretty good at. And my goal is, can we add other disciplines that we think are going to be important for us in the future? So I want to peel this back a bit and just talk about the fundamental beliefs that really are the foundation for our enterprise and our culture. The first one is pretty fundamental. It is that belief in all of our associates. So we trust our associates to do the right thing. We put a lot of energy in finding that spot where our associates can make the greatest contribution. So one interesting practice that has stood the test of time is the idea of a sponsor. So unlike a leader, which may lead a team or lead a group, every associate in Gore has a sponsor that they are a part of selecting. And that person's responsibility is to help develop and grow and maximize the contribution of their associate. And you think about the power of that, you can have a lot more sponsors to share that load, but it's a personal commitment that you're making to help the associate be successful. And I think the other part that's critical is we want the associate to be part of shaping their commitments. And so we love Venn diagrams, but we have this one that really is to try to find that sweet spot for our associates. Where is their passion? What's the thing they get up and do first on their to-do list? Where do they have unique skills? So where do they have, unique capabilities that really are valuable? And lastly, where do we have the greatest business need? And when we find the intersection of those 3 points, what you find is incredible in terms of the level of engagement and ownership and passion of our associates. And so for us, this is fundamental. And I think we all know, if you could find that for 10,000 associates, how powerful is that in terms of their commitment to the organization? The level of discretionary effort and ownership that they feel, not just for their own commitments, but also to help their associates and help their teammates. And so this is kind of the first underpinning that's fundamental to who we are. The second one is, as we've gotten larger, what we don't want is associates feeling they cannot make a difference out of our 10,000 associates. So we do organize around small teams. And these teams feel very empowered to make decisions, highly collaborative, I would like to tell you that they're always harmonious, but that's not always the case. Because if you have a high-performing team, what you really want is diversity of perspectives so that the best idea rises to the occasion. So to do this well, you've got to put a lot of energy with teams to build that foundation of trust. Because if you have that foundation of trust where each other understands their strengths, their needs, you can have some very tough, challenging conversations, but it doesn't get personal, right? It's really about everyone aligned around the outcome. And so some of our highest performing teams, if you went in and watched them operate, it would almost shock you. But they're not attacking each other. They're really trying to get the best idea to come to the surface. And so that's the second premise that we have. The next one, which is a little bit in tension with the power of small teams, is how do we make sure our associates don't lose sight of the fact that we have this great enterprise, and that how do we get the combined strength of the enterprise and just the vast resources that are available to our associates. And Bill Gore loved boat analogies, so this is the big ship of the Gore enterprise. But we really want to continue to find ways that reinforce it's not just about team success, but it's also about success for the whole. And so we do things like profit sharing that are not based on individual team performance, they're based on the performance of the overall enterprise. And then the last fundamental belief, which takes me back to the value of being privately held, is the ability to take a long-term view. And I'm very thankful of that, because certainly if you are trying to drive innovation, many of our major advancements, whether it be Gore-Tex fabrics or some of our medical devices, these were 10 to 15-year journeys. These are not measured in quarter-to-quarter performance. And so you want to have a base that really believes that in the long term, what matters is it's financial success, yes, but there are a lot of other factors that are equally important in terms of defining success for the enterprise. And so this is another one, I think, that has been fundamental to allow us to shape and nurture a culture that really takes a long-term view. And the last one, which is another boating analogy, is if you're going to drill holes into the ship, please drill them above the waterline. And if you're going to drill one that you think might go below the bow, please consult with other knowledgeable associates. So if you have that gut feeling that I really don't feel good about this decision, go consult with others that may have a different understanding perspective. So